Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Dynamo. The season didn't go well. It didn't end well at all. As you can see, we could not get a win for love nor money. We won the final game of the season, but it was enough to secure a top half finish. But just that form hurt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games without a win. And in the second half of the season, we only won like 5 games in the last 3 months. Like these are the kind of things that has to change for us to be able to get promoted. But we're not a million miles away because like the season ended and we finished 10th. But if you go in here and you have a look, we finished 10th. We collapsed in like the last month. We had sat around, kind of like at the start of the season, we sat around the 3rd, 4th, and slowly slipped down to 7th. And we were 7th up until maybe I'd say match day 40. And then in the last 6 games of the season, because we just couldn't win, we just weren't putting enough points on the table to be able to get ourselves into that top 7. And as you can see, we were like 2 points away. So even up until the final day, an extra win would have been enough to secure a playoff spot. And that's really what it is, because if you go to our first season, we finished 7th, winning 18, drawing 11 and losing 13. Now, there's more games this season, and you can see that we've absorbed them into our draws. We have 12 losses and we had 13 losses. So it's really a case of we're just not converting draws into wins. That's what this is coming down to. Now, a happy thing to point out here is that award winners go to top goal scorer. Cameron Stanley won the Golden Boot for the Vanarama League North, so I'm trying to hold on to him. A slight complication with Stanley, but that gets us into our next topic of conversation. We went pro. Dublin City is now a professional setup. It says here professional. One of the first things I had to do, and this was a nightmare, is I had to go into every member of staff, every player, and re-sign them onto professional deals because they were on part-time deals. I need them on full-time deals because if they're only on part-time deals, they're not going to get the most out of full-time training, because we now have at our disposal the 7-day week as opposed to the 3-day week. So we get to do a proper pre-season, which is 2 weeks of just intensive physical training before we introduce a little bit more just general match training, just to get their technical skills up to a point where we can go into a match with a level of match fitness. Pre-season is all about building fitness and building match what's the word? It's match fluency, or like match fitness, yeah. And technical, what is it? Technical, it says in here, tactical familiarity. That's the word I'm looking for. So that is entirely what we are going to spend pre-season doing. But Chris Staunton, I've been very happy with him. We'll get to him. If we go here to the squad's been gutted, we will get to that. Cameron Stanley, he's still on a part-time deal. He's on 600 quid a week on a part-time deal. And I'm finding it very difficult to negotiate him to a deal of around that price, because I can't allow the wages to spiral out of control. One of the things that I found difficult ever since going professional and just raiding the free market, a lot of the players who are willing to come play for me want between 800 to 1.5 thousand euros a week. I'm just not willing to pay that. Jesus Christ, the book fell down. That scared the shit out of me. Like I said, I have just not been willing to pay those kind of wages. And another thing that I've been noticing is that it's difficult to expand the squad with the contracts, that the reputation and the players who can actually elevate the squad. It's difficult to bring them in while not breaking the bank, because signing everybody onto full contracts, on average, I'm paying around £300 a week, which is about an increase of about £100 a week. Euro, not pounds. It's an increase of about €100 a week over last season. But where we've really seen it is in terms of our actual wage budget. Season 1, we were spending £3,000 a week on wages. Season 2, we were spending £6,000 a week on wages. We're now spending £10,000 a week on wages. And I think a big part what's introducing that is that we have an expansive and robust under 18 system. And you can see a lot of people in here are on the 107 a week for their youth contracts. This is something I'm going to have to think about, and I'm going to have to gut and I mean absolutely gut the under-18 setup and just let a lot of people go, because our finances don't look particularly promising. If we go into projections, we're expected to start losing money because the balance is going to slowly decline, because we are now just spending more money than we're bringing in. Our turnover is 1.8 million. Our expenditure is 2 million. And I think where most of that is going is into those youth wages. So I need to figure out what to do with that. And I think one of the things I can do is try recoup some earnings. I'm thinking about turning Dublin into a selling club for a while, because our youth system is quite prolific. In our two youth intakes, let me go to the first team again here for a second. In our 2 intakes, I have contract selection info. It's just easy. No. General info. There we go. It's just easier this way. In our first intake, I have Joey Flynn. I just called him up. So I have 1. Josh Roberts, no. Rhiannon Sullivan, no. Jordan Caffrey, that's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 players from my first 2 youth intakes that have come into my first team. And a big part of how these players have come into my first team is because I'm going to try give them more game time and just utilize the facilities, utilize the training opportunities that a professional club provides to be able to both develop and train and combine that with game time. Because, like, we'll go to 15-year-old Chris Staunton here. Like, look at that player. If I just need to put time into developing this player's physicals to get him to, like, he could easily reach League 2 standard very, very quickly, just because of how efficient those mentals are. But again, he's 15 years of age. So if he gets 5 years of lower league football experience, improving those physicals, there's nothing stopping this player from becoming, say, League 1 standard. Now, I've no idea what this represents, because I just don't have a gauge. As in, like, not me as a human being, I just literally mean, like, in the game. We've no gauge against the quality of, say, a League 2 or a League 1 side. So we've no way of being able to actually compare what that potential represents. Our scouts aren't good enough. They don't have a high enough judging PA to be able to actually determine whether or not they are football league status or non-league status. I'm thinking, just based off of the room to develop, the way the attributes have set themselves forward, I think we have a League 1 player on our hands here. So holding Staunton together, I think, can be crucial towards developing and rising up the leagues. And then by the time we get into League 2, League 1, Staunton might either be able to provide a charge for us, or he might even be in a position to be able to get a bit of a windfall kitty. If we get like 500 grand for him, that'd be quite good. And send him off to one of the more established sides. Outside of that, Jordan Caffrey I'm thinking about basically him being my starting right winger, because he played quite well at the end of the last season. I know that says a 6.65, but I'm not expecting huge things out of him, and he's cheap. We got a contract, like, he's willing to play for nothing, like 170 quid a week. But if you go into, like, reports, he's pretty much at the North League standard, and he isn't miles away from what would be our better players. Like Tyler Walton, I've tied him down to a 2-year extension on a professional contract because he played so well for us last season. Nearly 40 games, 6 goals, 4 assists, 7.02 rating. Very, very happy with what I say, Staunton. They're very happy with Weiler's appearances and very happy with how he actually performed for the club. Now, he has extensive North experience, so I wasn't entirely surprised. Now, in terms of the goalkeepers, I've let Sean Boehm go. I've signed both Mohamed Ba and Corey Chambers out on full contracts. I agonised over Chambers. I really did. I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to hold on to him, whether or not I wanted to let him go. And ultimately, the reason why I decided to let him go was because last season, he had 16 clean sheets. That's his debut season for us. He only missed 3 games all season and he got 16 clean sheets. A 7.0 rating. I feel like I'm chasing perfection, and a sentiment that I have that I really do live by is don't allow perfection to stand in the way of a good thing. If you have a good thing, don't ever give that up unless you know you're getting something better. And right now, I don't know I'm going to get something better out there because he isn't a million miles away from Mohamed Ba. And Mohamed Ba, he's 19 Sierra Leone caps. He's away with the African nations at the moment. Like, he is a very, very ready and willing backup who is willing to stand up. His wages are a lot lower right now while he's a backup, although if he starts getting first team football and he gets like 20, I think I have his contract set so that if he gets 25 appearances, his contract goes up to £300 a week. So, like, Chambers, I'm rooting for Chambers to be my first choice goalkeeper, especially because my third choice keeper, who isn't in the senior squad, but is there if he needs to be, Adam Burke, he's not training well. Like, this boy has oodles of potential, but he's just not training. Like, development-wise, he's just not improving. Like, here we go. He conceded 51 goals. He only had 8 clean sheets in the under-18s league. And I thought about giving Burke a season at the helm, but when you concede 51 goals a season, I just can't. I can't back you. You need more time to develop Burke. That's just the way that plays. So if we go into squad, let's go back. Oh God, I need to cut down that squad. Go back into the senior staff. We signed Evan Farrell again, kept him at the club. As you can see, most of the players here, you'll be familiar with them if you've been following. If you haven't, the new additions, I didn't bring in too many new players, but let's go over here to transfer history so I can identify who came in. So Sean McCarthy, I have him on loan from Cork City. He's a backup left back because I let Elba go because he wanted exorbitant wages. And I decided, how about I just get somebody in on loan? I don't have to pay their wages. They can be my backup left back. And he's not a million miles away from Rian O'Sullivan. And we have this fella coming through that eventually is going to take, not John Ryan, sorry, I signed John Ryan. It's this guy, Nathan King. Nathan King is working his way through the academy. He is a hot prospect that I'm identifying going forward because of that exceptional crossing. And he's got good teamwork, work rate, as well as the natural fitness and the balance. Like, what's not to love? And he's got good leadership. So I'm trying to give him as much time as he needs to be able to develop into the player that I want him to be. And that means having players at the club who can just stand in front of him, absorb those fixtures that won't disrupt Nathan King's development by getting bad match performances. Because nothing will derail his training quite as fast as getting like a 5.2. Because the boy was just thrown into senior non-league football before he was ready. He's 5'7". He has 5 strength. He's going to get bullied around the place. Oh, look at this. 8 long shots, 8 passing, first touch of 8. Like, there's a complete wing back in here. You could even retrain him into an advanced winger and basically play him as like a ramdider with a left-footed swing to be able to shoot a cross goal. Like, there's options for him, and I don't want to disrupt his what's the word I'm looking for? I have no idea. This is interesting. Shane McCarthy, current ability. That's interesting. Down here, ability, potential. Well, look at that. I don't know what to say to that. So, McCarthy. Josh Robinson. I brought Robinson in as a defender. He's going to be the best defender at the club at the moment. 5'10", unusual for me to get players like that. But what he is he is versatile. He can play both sides in midfield. He can play as a wing back on the left, although I'm never going to employ him in that role. He's mainly going to find himself at centre mid because he's got that good tackling as well as the determination. Positioning could be better, but look, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Robinson, he can fill in at defensive mid as well if he needs to. If I had better defensive mids, I'd definitely play a 4-3-3 because I just want the defensive stability. I think I'm gonna swap between like a 4-4-2, a 4-3-3, and a 4-2-3-1 all through the season. I wonder if the reason my inconsistency comes is because I haven't settled on style of football yet. I don't know what I want to do because we go into tactics here. I've gotten 2 tiki-taka systems because I've just found that if I hoof the ball long, they get it and I don't. And then they put pressure on me. They hoof it, they get it and I don't, and they score. That tends to be what happens. I find that I have to play through the wings with a little bit of a passing system, low tempo, and play the ball into good situations to be able to control the flow of a game so as to be able to score. It's very frustrating, very frustrating. But like, I mean, it's paying dividends for me. A 7th place finish and a 10th place finish. I think I'm getting to the point now where, like, if we go into like dynamics, I have a team with good cohesion, good club atmosphere, managerial, and the squad groups. Everyone is in a core squad group aside from the odd players here and there, and the hierarchy is in a position where I have a team leader. He is my captain. He doesn't play, but he doesn't need to. Rooney and Manley, highly influential players, are both starters, as well as an influential player in Kieran Stanley, Walton, Hoysey, Chambers. So, like, pretty much influential, highly influential. They all play. So I think we have in our hands at the moment a squad that is in a position to be actually able to play with a cohesiveness and a consistency to mount a title challenge. And that is what we want to do. I want to avoid the horror show that is the playoffs. I just want to get promoted. And we begin the season away at Chesterfield. Before then, I have a load of preseason friendlies. Tip that I always do, an old thing that I used to do years ago, was 2 games a week for match fitness. And after a while, I started noticing injuries are creeping in on top of me. What instead I want to do is like 1 game every week on the way there, and then figure out your first 11 and give them like 60 minutes if you need to. Give them 75 minutes. You can build your match ratings by just giving them longer periods of play, but making sure that you rest players between matches, between fixtures. And that has become so much easier with the more in-depth training system, because the training system that I'm using at the moment is endurance, quickness, endurance, resistance, and then doing match tactics as well as this teamwork. If you want to know where this comes from, you can watch Zealand's videos on preseason training and things like that to understand why you're doing things in this way and why you're using chance creation, why you're using defensive shape, why you're using attacking movement. The secret is because these offer tactical fluidity. So what you're doing is you're basically giving people a shot to their system to be able to like physically destroy themselves so as to get their fitness up to a very high level to then be able to sustain their training regiment, as well as playing a heavy fixture schedule throughout the English season. And you prepare them at the very beginning, and then these are so that they don't burn the crap out. So what more do I need to talk about? Actually, do I have anything staff wise? I have the best staff in the competition. I have 7 coaches. I guess the last thing to say would be in terms of like finances wise, like I have a healthy budget at the moment with a professional club. My wage budget is 13 grand. Although I'm only spending 10, I don't want to spend too much more of that. I want to bring the wage budget down because although our income is quite healthy, the wages mean that at the moment we are a loss-making club, and I need to sustain the finances of this club because right now I am playing chicken with promotion. If I do not get promoted, this is going to be squeaky bum time, and it's going to be very difficult to secure those finances with the National League North setup, with the income through Matchgate receipts, with the away attendances coming into the stadium at home games. We need to get promoted, or we need to reduce the wage bill. I would rather reduce the wage bill, and we do this by focusing on domestic talents of players coming through the youth system, because we are not competing with the rest of the league. We are competing with the Airtricity leagues, and the Airtricity leagues, the players coming through that system do not want to play at our level. So we are in a position where we actually get a lot of good talent coming through our academy, and we get to monopolize that talent. So I can offer them lower contracts, I can play them, I can develop them, then I can sell them onto the Airtricity League, and we can use that money to generate more revenue, more income, while also not destroying our wage budget, because I kind of did that. I moved the budget too far away from where I wanted it to be. So that's the state of play as we sit at the moment. Corey Chambers is my starting starting goalkeeper. I'm going to come back to you probably in the middle of the season. I'm not entirely sure when. Whenever feels right. That's really the way I do it. But anyway, my friends, if you've enjoyed the video, start of season 3 essentially is the start of chapter 2 of this adventure. We've gone professional, and in that time, if you've enjoyed what you've watched, do hit that subscribe button. Make sure to leave a comment, like the video, but more than anything, have a good day, my friends. Bye bye.